Alright everybody, it's Fred here and we're going to do a crank, PK-80 crank. This was taken out of a DAX bottom end, type D bottom end, and you know, although I'm pretty happy with the quality, most of them seem to have a little bit of crank problems, and this one is no exception. Here, I'll bump it over and you can see what I'm talking about. When it's in the lathe, boy does it make the flaws come out. Here we go. Now you can see we got angular misalignment. You can see the indicator is bouncing all over the place. You can see run out in the flywheel weights. Angular misalignment, like I say, that's not going to be kind to the bearings. So anyone who's really serious with getting maximum performance out of their two-stroke engine is going to want to have a crank that's straight and true. So, alright, so first, what we're going to do, we're going to analyze where the run out is, and often it's, well, actually I'm a little surprised that the run out is this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out a way. Sometimes I pry it here to straighten it. And that's actually what it needs. Okay, I was wrong. That's what it needs. Oh, pry like that. Oh, much better. Much better. We're getting there. Because this comes, it's usually bent this way. See, here's the crank pin. Crank pin's on this side, and the opposite side of the crank pin is the side that's collapsed, and that comes from hasty assembly. Sometimes the sockets in the cases are too tight for the bearings. Sometimes it's a little too tight here on the journal, and they gotta force it together. And where does the distortion go? Well, the crank pin is holding this side nice and tight. This end here is unsupported. It collapses in that direction. There's your angular misalignment. So, and it all comes from hasty assembly. And in the next video, when I'm assembling it, I'll show you guys a really simple, stupid, simple trick that if they only did that, probably a lot of these problems wouldn't happen. But they don't. So we got what we have. So it's a little bit of art to straightening thing. Now look at that. The dial indicator's barely moving. Okay, so now our angular misalignment situation is taken care of. But you can see pretty severe flywheel run out. But before we true up these flywheels on the outside, we're going to flip it. We're just going to check, just for shits and giggles, we're going to check the other side. I got a nice 6-jaw chuck that holds the crankshaft really nicely. And it's a little off, so I find that sometimes with me torquing it, it disturbs things a little, so okay. Let's see here. It's pushing out there, so we're just gonna tap it. Oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Alright, there we go. We'll try again. Okay. So now I made it. I don't quite understand why okay, yeah, I made it. I went too far. Okay, we're gonna we're gonna get it right. This video, you know, you might want to pause it for a little while, because okay, that's pretty nice. You might want to pause it for a little while, let it catch up, because this is a long video redoing this crank. I don't know how long it's gonna end up being, but we're gonna work fast, so you guys, it's pretty good. Sometimes I go back and forth a few times. Because I want to get these suckers as good as I can. Reasonably. I don't get the 10th indicator out or anything like that. You know, if we got angular misalignment, you know, where there's maybe a few thousandths of run out, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, we try to keeping in mind what kind of engine this is. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that level of true. And now we can true up these flywheel weights on the outside. Bring in the live center. Okay. I only take off just enough. The more material you take off on the flywheel, the more you're reducing its ability, or its crankcase compression. You're reducing that, and you know, that's not a good thing. But what's the lesser of two evils? I would gladly reduce crankcase compression slightly in exchange for having a true crankshaft flywheel. Because, I don't know about you, but I can't stand vibration. Absolutely hate it. Alright. Well, we got that. Now, that's not even, it's not it. I've got a little special tool that reaches in here, and I'll true the inside too, because that's got run out. It's not going to influence the crank or the engine quite as much as the outside being out of rounds, but it will. It will. I don't like it. Just a little bit more. Again, I'm only taking off just the minimum. In fact, sometimes I'll leave. I won't clean it up 100%. I'll stop just shy because I'm really interested in retaining. Put a chamfer on that. I'm interested in retaining as much of the volume that this crankshaft takes in the crankcase. Okay, so we got that. Take that out. We're going to flip it. Do the same thing on the other side. You can see where I didn't quite fully clean it up. That's good enough. That's good enough. I mean, the difference is going to be significant. Okay, clean up the inside. Got run out there. Now it looks like this crankshaft doesn't have any balancing. Looking at it from the outside, you say, "Oh shit, man, that's not balanced, man. I don't see any holes. I don't see any holes here." Well, if you were to take these screws off, remove this flywheel, you would see they mill out area in here, so it's hidden. So these are balanced, and so they go through quite an expense to do it in that way, and clearly they do that to keep their crankcase compression as high as possible. So that's pretty good. Now this crank had another problem. The gear, the output gear, was out by like 3/16 of an inch almost, or about 1/8 of an inch too far out. I didn't like it. And so we're going to redress this taper. And I've got this simple flat tool. We're going to recut the taper, and it got a little buggered up from, you know, hasty assembly. So that will reposition this gear so it has 100% engagement with the big gear. I mean, that's pretty good common sense thinking, right? That's what we want. So, and well, I'm also going to put a little chamfer. This tool as its combination tool that I've got here. Put a little chamfer on there, and this is the other thing that they don't do. A lot of these edges are sharp here, so when you assemble it, sometimes it catches the lip seal and causes trouble. I've taken many an engine apart where the little spring holding the lip seal tight against the shaft has popped off, and that's because they ignore those little details there, and some of all those little defects start to add up. Now, this is where you have to be gentle. Now, after I've dressed this taper, I got to face a little bit off. You got to take a gentle cut, because this shaft is not very rigid. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I've got my gear for checking. We check the fit, how it feels. It feels pretty nice. Taper feels good. It locks on nice. I'm going to face a tiny bit more, because I don't want my screw bottoming out on the shaft. I want to make sure that's right. I'm going to face just one more. All right, there we are. Okay. I'm going to do that. Took this apart, and I noticed the bearings were kind of tight, so I'm just going to run a little bit of sandpaper. Measure 630.05, 630.03, pretty good. Yeah, it's just starting to go on. That's basically perfect. Okay, we're going to, so now this is good. So we're happy with this. We've got it trued. We've got angular misalignment taken care of. Now we're going to flip it. We're going to touch it with sandpaper on this side here. It's a little looser than I like. But it's like a line fit, so that's okay. That's okay. You don't want them to be so tight where you've got to force them, because that can hurt the bearing. Alright, so there is our crank that we're happy with now. And now assembly comes next. And we were going to wash the crankshaft in the solvent tank, wash these bearings out really well, and make sure it's clean, and then we can put it back together with the case. The transfer ports in the case are going to get matched to the cylinder jug, and those usually need the modification in the same place, I've noticed. And careful assembly, and we'll get into that next. All right, we're going to turn this off. Next one will be later. Thank you. Bye-bye.